The movie begins in March 2009. Captain Richard Phillips is packing his bags, checking his passport, and confirming his itinerary before heading to the airport with his wife, Andrea, at their home in Underhill, Vermont. They talk about how much the world has changed and express concern about their children's future, knowing that finding a decent job isn't as easy as it used to be. Later, they arrive at the airport, share a kiss goodbye, and Phillips heads inside. Meanwhile, in Isle, a small settlement on Somalia's coast, a convoy of vans carrying local mercenaries arrives. Abduwali Muse is resting on the hard ground inside a hut when a young boy rushes in to wake him. The mercenaries, working for a warlord named Garrett, are angry that the villagers aren't out at sea looking for ships to hijack. The village elder tries to explain that they've already had successful hijackings in the past 2 weeks, but the mercs don't care. They pressure the locals to get back out on the water and find another target. Hufan, the village chief, instructs Muse and another skiff commander named Asen to choose 3 men each and prepare their skiffs. A crowd gathers, with men trying to persuade Muse and Asen to pick them, either by showing off their skills or offering a sprig of khat, a herb that gives them energy and suppresses appetite, useful for long sea raids. Muse picks his crew, a young Somali named Bilal, Elmi, and Naji, who's from another village. They load up supplies and head to the mother boat. Before they leave, Asen warns Muse to stay out of his way and calls him a thin rat. Muse resents him, especially when Asen starts ordering Elmi around. Meanwhile, Captain Phillips arrives at the port of Salalah in Oman to take command of the MV Maersk Alabama, a container ship. He meets with his first mate, Shane Murphy, who briefs him on the sea route and the cargo they're transporting. Worried about pirate activity near the Somali coast, Phillips orders Murphy to ensure all doors and hatches on the ship are closed and locked. Once cargo loading is complete, the ship begins its journey. Phillips holds emergency drills to make sure the crew is prepared in case of an attack, and not long after the drill, he spots 2 small blips on the ship's radar. The captain alerts Murphy about the 2 incoming skiffs and instructs him to contact the U.S. Maritime Emergency. When there's no response, Phillips orders a 5-degree port turn, but the skiffs follow. He then tells Murphy to notify the UKMTO of a possible piracy attempt. When the skiffs get closer, Phillips sees the men on board are armed. He warns his 20-man crew and picks up the radio, pretending to contact a nearby Navy ship, hoping to scare the pirates off. Asen, hearing the transmission, gets nervous and tells his team to turn back. Muse, however, is suspicious and urges his driver to speed up. Phillips increases the ship's speed, creating large waves that rock the smaller boat. Muse tells Elmi to push full speed ahead, but their engine fails, leaving them stranded. Later that night, Muse and his crew meet up with their mothership to fix the engine. Tensions rise between Asen and Muse. They insult each other, and Asen pulls a gun. But Muse is ready. He pulls out a hidden wrench and kills Asen, then takes his engine and heads back toward the cargo ship. Murphy spots the skiff returning and radios Captain Phillips. Phillips orders the crew to take their stations, begins evasive maneuvers, and contacts UKMTO again. Soon, the fire hose defense system activates, spraying water outward. Muse radios Phillips, demanding he stop the ship, but Phillips ignores him. Najee fires his weapon, and the skiff draws closer. Despite the water, Bilal manages to hook an improvised ladder onto the ship. The pirates climb aboard. Phillips tells his crew to retreat to the engine room and not open the doors. On their way to the bridge, the pirates destroy every lock they find. Once they reach the bridge, they storm in, pointing weapons at Phillips and 2 others. Muse approaches Phillips and tells him to relax. No one needs to get hurt if they cooperate. The pirates are thrilled when they realize it's an American ship. Muse then declares, "I'm the captain now." Phillips tries to negotiate, offering $30,000 to make them leave. But to the pirates, that's not enough. Suddenly, the ship's power shuts down. The chief engineer has killed the switch. Muse demands to know what happened. Phillips calmly explains that they pushed the ship too hard, causing a failure. Muse then asks where the rest of the crew is, but Phillips claims he doesn't know. Muse threatens to shoot the crew on the bridge one by one unless the others come out. When that doesn't work, he decides to find them himself. He takes Bilal and Phillips to search the ship. Phillips suggests starting from the top, but Muse catches on. After checking a ship diagram, he orders them to head to the engine room. Along the way, Bilal checks a storage room, nearly spotting Murphy. Murphy quickly warns the rest of the crew to prepare for an encounter. They scatter glass across the floor near the engine room entrance. When the search party enters, Bilal steps on the glass, badly injuring his foot. Muse then tells him to take the captain back to the bridge. Meanwhile, Muse continues searching, but under the cover of darkness, he is ambushed by some of the crew members. One of them tries to stab him, but Muse manages to block the fatal blow with his hand. The crew then radios the pirates on the bridge, informing them that they have Muse and are willing to trade him for Captain Phillips, plus $30,000, before disappearing. Phillips takes the money from the safe and hands it over to the pirates. The crew releases Muse. But as Phillips tries to exit the lifeboat, Najee strikes him and slams the door shut. The lifeboat is then lowered into the water. The hijacking of the Maersk Alabama and the kidnapping of Captain Phillips is quickly reported to the USS Bainbridge, a U.S. Navy ship operating in the Mediterranean, which is immediately ordered to head west and intercept the lifeboat. Phillips offers to treat Muse's injured hand and Bilal's wounded foot. Muse refuses treatment, but allows Phillips to tend to Bilal. Soon, a drone locates the lifeboat, and the crew of the Alabama, who decided to follow it, confirm its position. However, the Navy estimates it will take 36 hours for the warship to catch up. Determined to prevent the pirates from reaching Somalia, the U.S. sends members of the SEAL team. Meanwhile, Hufan contacts Muse, informing him that the mothership is experiencing engine trouble. He also says Garrett is furious that Muse messed up the mission and insists they return to Somalia immediately. The USS Bainbridge arrives, shining bright spotlights and blaring horns at the lifeboat. A man named Nemo, fluent in Somali, contacts the pirates and offers food and water to start negotiations. Muse responds that their demand is $10 million. Najee, paranoid and suspicious, believes the Americans are setting them up. Despite that, Muse agrees to speak with the Navy. 2 gunboats approach the lifeboat and request visual proof that Phillips is alive. Muse brings Phillips to the door to show he's okay, then pushes him back inside while continuing the conversation. Food and water are offered, but Muse refuses and reiterates the $10 million demand. During the talk, Najee grows increasingly tense and fires his pistol in the air. Fearing Phillips had been shot, the gunboats quickly retreat. Muse then contacts Bainbridge, assures them Phillips is fine, and confirms this with Phillips over the radio. He also tells the commanding officer that they'll be contacted again once they're in Somalia. That night, 2 additional warships join Bainbridge. Inside the lifeboat, Phillips asks to relieve himself. Muse allows it, and the captain uses the opportunity to push Bilal into the water and swims toward the Navy ships. The Navy spots them but can't identify who's who. Najee tries to shoot but is stopped by Muse, who then jumps into the water and pulls Phillips back into the lifeboat. Once aboard, Najee brutally beats the captain. Later, the SEALs arrive, assume tactical control, and radio Muse. The negotiator begins mentioning the pirates by name and where they're from. He also claims that elders from their tribe are being brought aboard the Bainbridge to help negotiate a ransom. Muse agrees to meet with the Navy and the elders. Meanwhile, SEAL snipers take their positions. A skiff is sent to the lifeboat to retrieve Muse, attach a tow rope, and secretly install a listening device. A sailor tosses a bag inside and tells Phillips to put on the included shirt for warmth and to remain seated. Back on the warship, the SEAL snipers are told to wait for confirmed visuals on all 3 pirates before taking action. Once the lifeboat is being towed, Phillips puts on the yellow shirt as instructed. Najee warns him to sit still since Elmi gets anxious when he moves. Najee then threatens Elmi to shoot if Phillips moves again. Despite being close, the snipers still don't have clear sights on all 3 targets. Realizing the end may be near, Phillips grabs a pen and paper to write a final message to his family. Najee sees this, confiscates it, and enrages Phillips, who lashes out, pushing and punching him. The pirates overpower Phillips and tie him up. Najee then turns on the radio, demanding to know where the elders are. He quickly realizes they're not coming and that the Americans have been lying. Convinced they're all going to die, Najee decides to execute Phillips. Tensions are at a boiling point. Bilal and Elmi are already in sniper view, but Najee remains hidden. The commander orders the tow to stop. The sudden jolt causes Najee to stumble forward and into the sniper's line of sight through a window. With all 3 pirates now visible, the command is given: green light. Phillips screams as blood splatters over him. Silence follows. His blindfold slips, revealing the horrific scene. Muse, meanwhile, is captured, cuffed, and detained aboard the ship. He lowers his head, realizing his crew is dead and Phillips is alive. The film ends with Captain Phillips being rescued from the lifeboat and brought aboard the Bainbridge, where he is treated for his injuries. Shocked and overwhelmed, he struggles to respond to the medic. He asks if his family knows he's safe. She assures him they do, and that he'll be able to contact them soon. Months later, Phillips reunites with his family. Muse is charged with piracy and sentenced to 33 years in federal prison in Indiana. The following year, Captain Phillips returns to the sea. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.